Hey, and welcome back to my channel where I am going over self discipline and I'm preparing myself for my monthly goal that will actually start tomorrow. The countdown is here. May 2025 monthly goals. On these self discipline videos, I'm just choosing to be transparent and kind of share my experiences. And these last few videos, I kind of went over the whole idea of what self discipline is, the key aspects of self discipline, the benefits of self discipline, and today I'm going to go over ways and how you can develop your self discipline skill set. But before I do that, I'm going to just kind of review my monthly goals, kind of give an introduction again about what the whole gist of these videos will be. So each month I plan to have a small set of goals to achieve. And my whole theme for these goals is self discipline because through self discipline, I will be able to achieve these goals, be more successful in all areas of my life, pretty much. And so, hopefully, by me being able to share how I'm actually maneuvering through becoming more successful, being with self discipline and all the different goals that I'm able to accomplish, it can relate to some people out there who may come across my YouTube video. And hopefully, we could kind of talk and collaborate together in regards to what your goals are. So, so I'm gonna go ahead and go over the how do you develop self-discipline, because I need to know this because tomorrow, which actually I've already started on, kind of working towards my goals that I have set out for the month of May. But tomorrow, especially until the end of the month and then on forth, I want to know how to develop self discipline. I don't only just want to know what self discipline is, I don't only want to know the key aspects of self discipline, but I want to know how can I actually implement this in my day to day life. So, the first way that I can develop self-discipline is by setting clear goals, which that's exactly what I have done. And I was going to go ahead and share that with you guys again. So for the month of May, when I set my clear goals, and I'm going to read the description of this first, and then I'll share my goals with you. So set clear goals. Having a clear vision of what you want to achieve can provide motivation and direction. I can just tell you, just by having these goals written down on a notepad, a notebook, and that's what I plan on doing, writing them down so I can actually read over them throughout the day. I plan on carrying this notebook pretty much everywhere that I go. So if I ever had any time, I can kind of read over my goals, read over the different things that I wrote down as a part of self discipline. So I have made some very clear goals here. My clear goals for the month of May is not a long list because I want to be reasonable about the amount of goals that I'm able to actually work and achieve on, because my plan is to achieve success on all of these goals by the end of month of May. So I don't want to make my list too long. So I made clear goals and I use the SMART format or strategy where you make sure that the goal is specific, make sure the goal is measurable by me having it a monthly goal by the end of the month, or actually making sure that I'm stating, like, for example, my first goal is earn at least $2,000 for my supplementary job. So I made it measurable because I can clearly measure whether or not I've made $2,000. Pay off Chase credit card. I know how much that is. So I know I can measure whether or not I've paid that off because my balance should be at zero by the end of the month. If not, then I didn't meet that goal. Lose at least 10 pounds. Well, 10 pounds, that's measurable. I can actually get on the scale. I could track my weight throughout the month of May and see if I'm moving towards the right direction of meeting that goal. I could measure myself at the end of the month and see if I've met the goal or exceeded the goal. Start SQL course on Microsoft to advanced skill. Well, that's a pretty easy one because all it says is to start. So I have yet to start that, but in the month of May, my goal is to do that so that I can progress towards completing that course. My next goal, number 5, is to read, study, and meditate on discipline. Well, reading, study, and meditating, I know whether or not I'm doing that. So I can easily measure whether or not I've done that. And most of the time, when I read, study, and meditate on discipline, I'm actually taking notes. So I can actually see that every day by the end of the month of May, I'm going to have a whole lot of notes on self discipline that I write down in this notebook. So that is very clearly measurable because I can observe it. Sometimes everything doesn't have to be a number in order for it to be measurable. It could just be something that you can easily observe. You can actually pinpoint and know that it actually happened or did not happen. That's pretty much what measurable means. And then step number 6, implement discipline in all areas of my life. So that was the way that I can make that measurable is by making maybe a note of how do I like self-reflecting each day, like a journal. I might use this notebook as well and just jot down ways in which I feel like I implemented discipline in the area of my finance, in the area of my health goals, in the area of my personal life, in the area of my career. So I could keep track of those each day, maybe like categorize it like that, 5 different areas of my life, and note one way in which I've implemented discipline. And then I could continue that throughout the month of May. Okay. So that's the first way to develop self discipline. Set clear goals so that you're able to achieve and you have some form of direction. Otherwise, you may improve or you may not. You don't know. You're just going through life um, with no set direction. Goals give you a direction. It gives you the direction of moving towards whatever your vision is and making sure that you're actually able to reach that vision. And if you're not able to, you can go back to the drawing board and you can break down those goals even further to make it more of a achievable goal for you, however that goal may look. Oh, and that goes to the step number 2, or the second way to develop self discipline is by breaking down your goals. Large goals can be overwhelming, so breaking them down into smaller, more manageable steps can be helpful. So my overall goal, I have an overall budget, and I've actually budgeted throughout all the way until 2027 pretty much. So my overall goal is budgeting and making sure that I'm paying things off and trying to get my debt underneath 30% of my credit amount and kind of manage that more, opening up some savings, several different accounts, doing some investments. There's so many different things that is like a big goal of mine, but that is kind of not reasonable to set that goal to try to complete it all together. So what I'm doing is each month I'm going to take a piece of what I would need to do in order for that goal to actually happen, and I'm going to work my way towards achieving that. So for example, when I'm earning extra income, that money can be used to pay off my budget. So then I can therefore later on, once everything is paid off and at a manageable spot, more reasonable spot where I would want to keep it is underneath 30%, even more, even less than that if I can. And then I can use that to invest and do all other different things that I want to do financial wise with my budget. And then my second goal also is broken down underneath the budgeting finance because it's saying pay off a line of credit. So that means that's going to be one thing I'm going to be able to mark off my budget and not have to worry about at least for now, until I get the other things paid off. Lose at least 10 pounds. Well, I need to lose more than 10 pounds, but I'm not going to give myself a goal right now to lose however many pounds. Like, it might even be, I would say, a total of 60 to 70 pounds that I would have to lose to get to a manageable place that I feel like I would want to be athletic wise. Even though that is my overall goal, I'm breaking it down so I can take piece by piece, chunk by chunk, and I can make it more reasonable. And then also, I'm breaking it down by putting it as a monthly thing and not saying, like, oh, by the end of this year, I want to lose 60 pounds. Yes, that's my overall goal, but I'm breaking it down to make it more accessible and making sure that I'm on track. The more that I assess myself and track myself and my progress, the more opportunities I have if I were to get off track to get back on track. So if I waited all the way, just go throughout the whole year and waited all the way until the end of the year and then stepped on the scale, and then I may, I may have had some days where, even though I might have ate healthy food or worked out, I might have ate too much calories. So then I could have time to self-reflect on that if I make it more manageable by breaking it down. Start SQL courses on Microsoft to Advanced Skill. That right there, the keyword there, that has really broken down the overall goal is to complete the course and probably take many other courses to become more of an expert with SQL programming. The keyword there is start. So I'm just simply saying start. It's very manageable. Just start. Sometimes the most difficult step to accomplish is by starting, because we can get in our mind, and our mind can tend to hold us back and keep us from achieving the very things that are right around the corner for us to achieve. And the best thing we have to do sometimes is get started with our goal. And then my other goals: reading, studying, meditating on discipline, implementing discipline. Pretty much my overall goal is to move towards a better mastery of that skill of discipline. Well, that is a big thing to say. So I need to break it down and say, well, how can I? What are the steps that I need to take in order to master self discipline? First, I need to read, study, and meditate on it. I need to put it in my mind and my thoughts and make sure that it's grained in my mind. So everything that I do and the way and the choices that I make, it comes to my mind, so that I'm making choices and decisions that are going to align with whatever my goals and aspirations are. And it's not going to be a hindrance, and it's going to lean more on the discipline side versus the not discipline side. So that gives you an example of how I broke down my goals. Because how do you eat an elephant? You got to eat it one bite at a time. We hear that phrase a lot. You have to just start. You chip away, chip, chip, chip. I also love the snowball effect. You start off small and you roll it over, it gets bigger. You roll it over, it gets bigger. You got to start. You got to start. Sometimes if you try to start too big, you overwhelm yourself and it does not last. And this is a lifelong, whenever you're making personal growth, whenever I'm making personal growth, I want it to be a lifelong thing. I don't want it to be a short term thing. So large goals, we, I would want to break them down to make them more manageable. That way I don't overwhelm myself and I don't just get to a point where I'm like hopeless and feel like I can't do it. It's not that I couldn't do it. It probably was because I made the goal too large. Let's see, for example, has there been an example that I could share at this moment where I may have made my goals a little bit too large? I do pretty good with making. I'm a goal oriented person, very much so, and self reflective. So I do pretty good, starting out. I might have, sometimes I'm just going to be honest, like with the health goal of losing weight. Naturally, in my mind, I would love to wake up tomorrow and have dropped 60 pounds. But I know that's not me making. I wouldn't make that as a goal, but it's just a natural thought in my mind, like, man, and I think a lot of people have that same thought. We want that quick fix, like, oh man, if I win the lottery tomorrow, or oh man, the chances of those things happening, even some of those things could happen, the chances of them happening is slim to none. And in the meantime, we want to still make progress on our goals. So we got to take the rational way. The reasonable way is by seeing what you can do with what you have now and taking the steps necessary to move in the direction that you want to be and where you want to grow. So that would be a good example. I want to try to give an example of, a way in which I've struggled with that. So, just to recap those two, I'm going over how to develop self discipline. The first way to develop self discipline is by setting clear goals. And I used the SMART template as an example, and I went through my goals as an example of them being smart, clear, and then breaking down goals. I went through my goals again and kind of showed you how each of those were broken down as an example. And the third way is practice self awareness. Ooh, I love that. And that is something that I have been working on, intentionally working on since 2021. There was a lot going on in my life in 2021. Later on in the video, I'll kind of go more in detail about that. But practice self awareness, understanding your triggers, habits, and emotional responses can help you manage your actions more effectively. And that kind of goes hand in hand with planning. When you plan, you're planning because, like, when I set my goals, I'm setting my goals so that it kind of combats my triggers. It combats my things that could hinder me. For example, that one goal about starting SQL courses on Microsoft to advance skills, that is related to my career. I'm a programmer. I actually have a bachelor's in computer science. That was my first major. Then I went back and did a mathematics degree at the dual major, because it's very closely knit. I only had to take a few more classes. But then after doing that, I went the route of teaching. So I taught math for 9, 10 years. And then in 2022, I transitioned out of teaching into my new job, which is going back to my first career choice, which is programming. And so, although I am a quick learner, quick to speed, I remember all of those different ways in which you utilize SQL. I do want to become more of an expert in programming in general, not just SQL. This is just a starting point. There's so many different languages. There's so many different programming functions and things that you can just do. And I just want to really get to an advanced level. I don't want to stay on the basic level of knowing. I want to advance further. And the way to do that is by learning and education wise, sign up for some courses. So for me, kind of to relate back to that practice self awareness, my triggers, my habits, my emotional responses, sometimes if I've experienced where I feel like, oh man, I probably could do better if I had this, or I might feel a little bit incompetent on this topic. And so to combat that, to kind of keep myself from feeling as if I'm not able to do, or whatever the case may be, I'm going to combat that by setting a goal that moves me in the other direction. So now I can't use that whole idea of being incompetent because I'm actually learning more. I should be learning more and progressing more with my programming skills. So that's an example of me being self-aware of myself to reflect back and making those goals intentional to kind of counteract my emotional response to triggers or habits, or even like with eating. um the last time that I actually lost 60 pounds, guys. I really did. And I'll share with you how I did that in a later video when I go in more details throughout the month about my monthly goals. I kind of share some stories. But yes, I lost 60 pounds, and I was not 300 pounds. So if I am 239, that means I actually gained some of those pounds back. I actually gained about, 39 of those back. So I'm glad I didn't gain all the 60 back, but I'm kind of disappointed that I gained, the amount that I did. And if I would have kept on my regimen, if I would have kept on what I was doing that was working very well and not kind of allow myself to backtrack, I would have still been on my way to where I would want to be. But I say that to say this because my triggers and habits during that time would be late night snacking. Prior to me choosing the last time to lose those pounds, I had to realize, I had to be self-aware. Where am I falling short? Where is this? Because I'm not really like crazy over food that bad to be weighing way over what I should be weighing. I had to kind of have a self-talk with myself. Like, I don't, there's no food that there's some food that there's some food items that I love, but there's no food item that I love so much to where it makes sense for me to be this much over the weight that I should be. That's the kind of self talk that I had to myself. And so then I had to go back into myself and figure out, well, where am I falling short? Where is this coming from? Like, if I'm not in love with food that much, then where am I eating it? Because it's been eaten somewhere. So I realized that I love to, I was eating a lot of food during the nighttime, right before going to bed. I have a son, and as parents, we work throughout the day. We have housework to do. We have, homework stuff to help out with, make sure they're straight. Then they go to bed, and you're like, it's time for me to really relax and enjoy myself. And so in the act of enjoying myself, or what we say, treating ourselves, I would snack and watch TV or whatever the case may be, and just snacking away, piling on more calories at the end of the day, and then laying down on them with no type of physical activity to kind of draw out those calories. So I realized that was a bad habit for me. So what I did during the time when I lost those 60 pounds is I actually set a window of time that I would eat from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Those were the only hours I was allowed to eat anything. And during those hours, I even had it because I was on, and I'll go more in detail. I was on a specific diet. I'll go in more detail on what that diet is later, where I would have not so many, like maybe like three small meals and snacks in between, and nothing was really, I tried to stay below 1,200 calories. And so that's an example of me being self-aware of myself, reflecting back on myself and realizing what my triggers was, what my bad habits were, emotional responses, what are some things that might trigger me to eat, or if there is an issue for me, um how can I combat that? So I have to practice self-awareness so that I'm aware and I can catch myself before I lead myself down to those bad habits and allow those triggers to deter me from self-discipline and reaching my goals. So that's an example. Those are several examples that I have experienced as far as like practicing self awareness. And since then, I've been better and very much aware of myself. And pretty much, there's still more to be aware about, but for the most part, I'm very well pretty much aware of myself. And I do that by journaling, by reflecting, by being accountable, by not always thinking that I'm right, by always being willing to see the other perspective. I just kind of open up my mind to really stepping out of myself and thinking that I'm always right, or it's woe is me, and really assessing the situation for what it is, and holding myself accountable and not making excuses about it. So that's just what I have done that has been successful in the past, that and that I'm sure will be successful continuing on. All right, so that was three different ways of how you could develop self discipline skills: set clear goals, break down goals, and practice self awareness. There are three more. And these are actually very important because I shared in the intro video, I am so self aware of myself. I know from birth from when I was young going through school. I am so much an overachiever. I will I am so highly motivated that I sometimes I can go to the extreme, and I have to be aware and catch myself sometimes. Sometimes it benefits me to go to the extreme because it makes me focus, but sometimes going too much into the extreme could be a bad thing. So, step or the fourth way in which you can develop self discipline is rewarding yourself so that you don't get burnt out. Now, I don't want to reward myself too much to where it's going to deter me from where I'm going. Like, for example, a lot of times, um, I what comes to my mind is, for example, my health goal. I can't say, oh, I done did all of this working out this week, so today it's okay for me to have a cheat day. Well, depending on what you're gonna indulge in on that cheat day, it could backtrack you all of that hard work that you did all the rest of the week. It could really just put that in the trash. And so I don't want to reward myself in that way. I want to find other ways to reward myself, because if I'm struggling with my nutritional diets and habits and stuff, I don't want to use a nutritional something that's on the other end of healthy nutrition to be my reward, like ice cream or something like that, or candy. Oh, I can have this candy bar because now that's for me. Again, that is me. That is my personal experience, my personal awareness, my personal thing. I just would try my best to choose not, because I feel like that would be tempting me. And in order to have self discipline, you got to resist that temptation. And sometimes, if you put your foot in the water, you might fall in. And so I just don't want to take the risk. I don't want to take the chance, because I'm really trying to make a change. And once I get myself kind of settled along the way to where I can see that my weight is going where it needs to go, I would have to lose, before I reward myself in that manner, I would have to lose 90% of the weight that I want to lose. And on top of that, I need to make sure that I'm able to stabilize my weight over time before I start playing around with um and really, to be honest, I would even say, as a life goal, it would be a life goal and a life passion of mine to even limit things like that. Limit the sugar intake, limit the candy, the junk food, all of that. Eat as little of that as you possibly can, and indulge more into the vegetables, the protein, low carb, high protein, low calories. And there are so many different options. I last time I came across Yasso yogurt. I'm a ice cream lover. I love ice cream. So I could choose a healthier choice. My reward, if it's going to be a reward that's a food item, I want to still make it a health. I need to find me something that is very close to what I like ice cream, but it is yogurt and it's low calories, like 80 calories a bar, and that could be my reward. So still, I'm making good nutritional decisions, but I'm at the same time kind of rewarding myself. So I could do that, but I'm not gonna play around with the high calorie, high carbs, and you know high trans fat stuff and high sodium items. I'm gonna be conscious and make sure that my reward does not deter my whole. You know how much I've been working out, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning until 7 o'clock in the gym. My arm muscles are getting sore. My leg muscles are all up here on the sides of me are getting sore. I've been working myself very hard. I want to see the benefit. I need to see the benefit, and I don't want to risk seeing that by, teeter tottering on the bad, good side of nutrition. I don't want to do that. So I just choose to abstain from that. And the type of rewards that I would probably do is maybe like a self care day, like, something that is on the lines of healthy choices. It's good to take a break. Um, date night, with a loved one, or um special activity with my son, maybe take a trip with my son. Things like that would be rewarding. Or if it is like a food item, choose a healthy food item like Yasso yogurt bars. That's low calorie. So reward yourself is very important because it doesn't you won't burn yourself out by being so strict on yourself, and you're never able to breathe or take a break. Then you'll burn out. You could possibly um, burn out your desire and motivation to make a change because you made it so hard for yourself, or I've made it so hard for myself. So I don't want to do that. I want to reward myself along the way. Make sure that I am acknowledging um, my progress. Even if I don't meet the goal, there's still something that I can look back on and say, "Hey, I'm proud of myself for doing that. I'm proud of how I handled that situation. I may not have reached my goal all the way, but look, I made it this far. I might not have lost 10 pounds, but hey, I lost 5 pounds. I'll still be happy about those 5 pounds." Which leads me to my so that's one, two, three, four. Fifth way of developing self discipline is be kind to yourself. So be kind to yourself. Have self compassion. Having self compassion is important for managing setbacks and maintaining motivation. I could have been hopeless after gaining 39 pounds of the 60 pounds that I lost. However, I looked at the glass half full. I was like, ooh, I'm still able to run one lap on this treadmill without giving out of breath. I remember when I first got back in the gym after gaining that much weight, because that's the highest weight that I've been, that I've known of. Um, After having my son 7 years ago, of course, you gain weight. So that put me over the 200 mark. But my weight after having him, I had lost the weight. And then I gained it back and gained more back to where I actually weighed more than what my highest weight was when I was pregnant. My highest weight when I was pregnant was 224 pounds. So I'm currently weighing more than I was weighing when I was pregnant, like full term pregnant with my son. But I wasn't unkind to myself. I held myself accountable. I know how to be self aware enough to have self talk with myself so that I'm not making excuses. But at the same time, I'm gonna be kind to myself and say, well, now is the time because I have to do something, because if I don't, it's only going to continue to go up and up and up and up. So I look at it and say, well, if I'm doing something and I'm aligning my decisions with my goals, it should go down, 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 down. So I kind of stay on the side of, oh, I'm glad that I'm actually starting this and I'm doing, trying to be better, and I have things planned out to where all I have to do is just, if I stay focused on these things and try my way to find a way to accomplish these day by day, there is inevitable. It will be inevitable that I will meet my goal. So I try to be kind to myself and manage setbacks, never giving up. I just mentioned there's time and time again I've gained weight, lost weight, gained weight, lost weight. Even before I was up in the 180, 90s prior to having my son, I think 180 is the weight that I wore. And that was even on the higher end of what I was used to, like college time, pre-college, high school. I was like in the 130s, which I don't really want to get down that far. But, you know, um with life, your body grows, things happen, you have babies, and that's neither to say that those are excuses, because you could actually get pregnant and have a baby and still maintain a healthy weight. So having a baby is not the excuse. It's just the discipline and the healthy choices and so forth. And I know some people have health, you know, I don't want to be insensitive to the fact that some people do have health conditions that make it more difficult. But I just say, it's better to do something or try something and see what works. Even if it does give you difficulties, exercising, walking, eating healthier is beneficial full round, all the way around. You'll be surprised at what might change if you got on the wagon of that. But that's to your own discretion to figure out. So be kind to yourself. Look at what your progress is so that you can continue on the path of getting better. Okay, that didn't work this time. Maybe losing 10 pounds in a month is too far fetched. So maybe I'll say, oh, well, let me see if I can break it down and say lose 5 pounds. Or maybe I could say, I could break it down. Okay, if I want to lose 10 pounds each week, how many pounds do I need to lose? Or if I want to lose 10 pounds each month, how many pounds do I need to lose each week? And that way I can pinpoint along the way to make sure that I'm reaching the goal. Okay, if I still am not reaching it, then let me see if I need to bump that number down. Any loss is better than no loss. And I want to see some success. Otherwise, you kind of lose hope. Like, well, I'm making my goals too large. I need to break them down. So maybe 5 pounds. Maybe you'll say I'm not going to really focus on how much I weigh. I'm just going to focus on getting a routine in place where I know I'm going to the gym each day, and what days and what times am I going to the gym. Maybe it'll be something like that, because and or maybe you'll kind of have another goal that just focuses on what you're going to eat. I'm only going to eat blah 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 blah. For me, I'm eating mainly vegetables, protein, low carb, low calories, high protein is what my choice, because I know that has worked that last time for me when I lost 60 pounds, and surely it should work again. So be kind to yourself. And then the last thing is to seek support. And listen, the support of friends, family, or mentors can provide accountability and encouragement. And that's so important, because we live in this world to not be a one man or one woman show. There are all people around us, just like me, sharing my experiences on here. That is, I'm here to give support to whomever needs it, just by sharing my story. That could give you support and provide you encouragement to do the same, because you see where I am at right now. I'm not where I want to be. So you can see in real life, real time, hey, this person actually, look, you might catch one of my videos later down the line where I actually met a lot of my goals and talking about how I did this. Now you might be like, ooh, I want to do that. I want to see, how did she do that? And so then you can come back to these videos and actually watch where I was when I didn't and wasn't achieving these goals, and what I did, because I'm going to share it as an encouragement. And then also using your friends and family and mentors. You'll be surprised once you start making changes. It might encourage the people around you to make those same changes. And then they even have Facebook, social media groups that you can join. You got gyms. Last time I actually joined the gym membership along with the regular gym membership that I have here in the city that I stay in. I joined a gym membership down in Florida, not too far from where I stay. Um, and I I budgeted for it, and it was well worth it, because I was able to I definitely, with me going to the gym in the morning time and taking that class in the evening time from 6 till 7, and the level of workout that they would give us, it was like group sessions. I love that you're around other people, so that provides you more motivation. You're like teamwork, just interacting with other people and not just doing it on your own. So those are just some options that I've done in the past. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I actually learned a lot of exercises I never thought of, that I actually know to do now, because I know that those are some great, outstanding workouts that works your full body. And so I'm able to take a whole lot of that knowledge with me from having been to that class. But if you need support and things like that, there are all different options out here for you. So, with that being said, to recap again before I close this video, how to develop self discipline. You want to, one, set clear goals, Have a clear vision what you want to achieve can provide motivation and direction. Number 2, break down goals. Large goals can be overwhelming, so breaking them down into smaller, more manageable steps can be helpful. Create your SMART goal, just like I have, examples that I've given. 3, practice self awareness. Understanding your triggers, habits, and emotional responses can help you manage your actions more effectively. So true. 4, reward yourself. Recognizing and celebrating your progress can reinforce positive behavior and keep you motivated. 5, be kind to yourself. Self-compassion is important for managing setbacks and maintaining motivation. And finally, but not the least, seek support. Enlisting the support of friends, family, or mentors can provide accountability and encouragement. So again, tomorrow is the day, the day, the day. Tomorrow is the day. And it will be May, and I'm going to be ready for my goals. And it just puts me in a better mood also when I wake up, because I got something to look forward to, because I am eager to see my progress on these goals. So I will see you again tomorrow, and I will be more in detail about my particular goals and how I am managing tracking those goals. So until then, I will see you guys next time. Have a nice night.